Ladies and gentlemen, we read our final two books today. That this should hopefully be the last. Actually, that's not true. I'm sure there'll probably be some stuff for us to read in the main storyline, some little notes and stuff here and there. But these will be the last two books that we read. This will be our last episode that is fully devoted to just straight up reading a book. That's a good feeling. That's a very good feeling. So today we got two different stories. I don't know if they're actually stories or not. I guess we'll find out. But we've got the Myths of Sheogorath as well as Saints and Seducers. We're going to start off with Saints and Seducers. That's 15 pages. Here we go. Sentinels of the Isles, a treatise on Golden Saint / Dark Seducer culture and history within the Shivering Isles by Andoche Marrier. Author's note. This volume attempts to catalog and analyze known, suspected, and rumored facts about the two races that serve to maintain order within the Shivering Isles. It is by no means intended to serve as the authoritative work on the matter. Rather, it is a personal effort on the part of the author to better understand these unique creatures. In the service of the Lord. It is beyond the scope of this work to determine the origins of the Golden Saints and Dark Seducers. They are Daedra, and as such, their base existence is a mystery to those mortal born. The commonly held belief that all Daedra are incapable of creation suggests that even Lord Sheogorath himself is not responsible for the genesis of these races. Yet, it is worth noting that the Prince of Madness has motives and powers that none may guess. To attempt to do so would only confuse the subject further. It is enough, then, to see that they exist and know that it is so. Beyond this knowledge, however, it is curious that the Saints and Seducers serve Lord Sheogorath unerringly. This allegiance is ultimate and eternal, from all indications, but its source is unknown. Could it be that they themselves were tricked into service by the mad god, or do they simply ally themselves with the greatest power in the realm? Previous literary works suggest that Daedra choose to serve their masters, so they might find protection and safe harbor. Clearly, the Saints and Seducers have this in the Shivering Isles. Indeed, they have fortresses which few not of their race are allowed to enter. They have power in the realm, acting as guardians of those who serve Lord Sheogorath. Constantly, they vie for the favor of our Lord, fighting any who oppose him, and at times even each other. It is reasonable to assume, then, that they have made a willing choice to take up their role in the Isles. Character and society. The immediate image called to mind when hearing the name Golden Saint suggests an angelic figure, elegant and benevolent. It is ironic, then, that while the Golden Saints embody this image in form, their behavior is in stark contrast to it. The Saints are a proud, arrogant race, quick to anger and cruel in their punishment. There is no question that they view all in the Isles as inferior, and make no effort to hide this in their interactions. Dark Seducers also exhibit little beyond their appearance to match the names. While they too assert their superiority over all others in the realm, they appear to have a more patient, introspective nature about them. They often appear humble in their dealings with mortals and are known to be patient with the lesser races. In fact, the terms Golden Saint and Dark Seducer are external constructs. While the two groups recognize in response to their names, they have their own names for their races, the Ariel and the Mazkin, respectively. It is possible the Daedra simply have no concern for the names and titles given to them by lesser beings, or perhaps they find amusement in the names. Further research into this subject is necessary but daunting, as the Saints and Seducers do not freely offer personal information about themselves. Other information can be gathered from observation. It is easy to see that the two groups are strongly militaristic in their societal structure. One's strength and discipline determines one's place in society. Military commanders, for example, are revered by their subordinates. With further observation, a second distinction becomes apparent. Both societies are matriarchal in nature. Females lead the guards within New Sheoth and have the highest positions of power. Males, while not openly denigrated, are clearly subservient to their female superiors. It is unclear where this practice began, but has been wholly integrated into the daily lives of both races. I completely forgot that there were male Golden Saints and Dark Seducers. Conflict and conquest. Any resident of the Shivering Isles can confirm that it is unwise to provoke the Golden Saints and Dark Seducers. They thrive on conflict and warfare, and are quick to punish any and all who disobey. Acting in their capacity as guardians of the realm does not satisfy them, however, and so they often engage in combats with one another, despite being garrisoned in areas where they are unlikely to interact. It is possible that this is more than an outlet for aggressive behavior. Repeated engagements between the two races may be an effort to gain favor with Lord Sheogorath. If one can triumph over the other, it would prove superiority and a right to gain sole control over the realm. The battle for Sailarn is of particular interest, as both sides have been locked in combat with no hope of resolution for time beyond memory. Does this combat serve to sharpen the skills of the two sides, or weaken them when they could be directed elsewhere? If the conflict cannot be resolved, why then does Lord Sheogorath not step in and settle it himself? Interesting. Religion and ceremony. Little is known about the private customs of the Golden Saints and Dark Seducers. They are reclusive when it comes to matters specific to their race, particularly regarding the mysterious process by which they return to the realm is in the unlikely event of their death. It is common knowledge that Golden Saints and Dark Seducers as Daedra cannot be killed. The animus of the Daedra is cast back into the darkness of Oblivion and can return to the realm to take form once more. But reports of the time it takes for Daedra to return to the realm from the waters of Oblivion are anecdotal and inconclusive. The process by which this return occurs remains shrouded in mystery. Based on behavior patterns and strength of numbers, it can be deduced that the stronghold for each race plays some major part in this process. Common phrases in language, such as, "may the chimes call you home," suggest that rather than merely a metaphor, sound may play some role in the sequence of events. It is believed that the chimes referenced by saints and seducers do indeed exist and are considered almost holy relics. Attempts to gain information about these chimes or the process by which they are used has been met with exceptional hostility and so have been abandoned. And that's how you know it's true. Any and all information regarding the Golden Saints and Dark Seducers, particularly relating to private customs and origins, should be brought to the attention of the author immediately. The greater the scope of our knowledge, the better our ability to understand these compelling creatures. Well, a little bit of background on the two different types of guards that we got in this game. And finally, the Myths of Sheogorath. Myths of Sheogorath by Mimophanus. Sheogorath invents music. In the earliest of days, in a time when the world was still raw, Sheogorath decided to walk amongst the mortals. He donned his guise of gentleman with a cane. He donned his disguise of pimp and moved from place to place without being recognized. After 11 days and 11 nights, Sheogorath decided that life among mortals was even more boring than his otherworldly existence. "What can I do to make their lives more interesting?" he said to himself. At that same moment, a young woman nearby commented wistfully to herself, "The sounds of the birds are so beautiful." Sheogorath silently agreed with her. Mortals could not make the beautiful and inspired calls of birds. Their voices were wretched and mundane. He could not change the nature of mortals, for that was the purview of other Daedric princes. However, he could give them tools to make beautiful sounds. Sheogorath took hold of the petulant woman and ripped her asunder. From her tendons he made lutes. Nice! From her skull and arm bones he made a drum. From her bones he made flutes. He presented these gifts to the mortals, and thus music was born. Wow, thanks, Sheogorath. I'm forever appreciative of you for that one. Sheogorath and King Lyander. King Lyander was known to be an exceedingly rational man. He lived in a palace that was a small, simple structure, unadorned with art and ugly to look upon. "I do not need more than this," he would say. "Why spend my gold on such luxuries when I can spend it on my armies or on great public works?" What a good guy. His kingdom prospered under his sensible rule. However, the people did not always share the king's sense of practicality. They would build houses that were beautiful to look upon, although not necessarily very practical. They devoted time and energy to works of art. They would celebrate events with lavish festivals. In general, they were quite happy. King Leander was disappointed that more of them did not follow his example and lead frugal, sensible lives. He brooded on this for many years. Finally, he decided that his subjects simply didn't understand how much more they could accomplish if they didn't waste time on those frivolous activities. Perhaps, he reasoned, they just needed more examples. The king decreed that all new buildings must be simple, unadorned, and no larger than was necessary for their function. The people were not happy about this, but they liked their king and respected the new law. In a few short years, there were more plain buildings than ornate ones. The citizens used the money saved to make and buy even more lavish art and hold even more excessive celebrations. Once again, King Leander decided to provide them a strict example of how beneficial it would be to use their time and resources for more practical purposes. He banned all works of art in the city. The people were quite put out by this, but they knew that their king was doing what he thought was best for them. However, human nature is not so easily denied. In a few more years, the city was filled with plain, simple buildings and devoid of any sort of art. However, the people now had even more money and time to devote to their parties and festivals. With a heavy heart, King Leander decided that his people were to be treated like children, and like all children, they needed rules and discipline laid down by great figures of authority to make them understand what was truly important in life. He decreed that there should be no revelry in the city. Singing, dancing, and music were all banned. Even food and drink were limited to water and simple foodstuffs. The people had had enough. Revolt was out of the question, since King Leander had a very well-trained and equipped army. They visited the shrines and temples in droves, praying to all the gods, and even to some of the Daedric princes, that King Leander would revoke these new oppressive laws. Sheogorath heard their pleas and decided to visit King Leander. He appeared to the king in his dreams as a field of flowers, each with arms instead of petals, and the face of the mad god in the center. I am the lord of the creative and lord of the deranged. Since you have no use for my gifts of creativity, I have decided to bless you with an abundance of my other gift. From that day forward, every child born in the city was born into madness. Since infants do not reveal illnesses of the mind, it was several years before this was realized. The king's own son was among the victims, suffering from seizures and delusions. Yet King Leander refused to change his ways. When his son, Glint, was 12 years old, he stabbed his father while Leander was sleeping. With his dying breath, King Leander asked, "Why?" His son replied, "It is the most practical thing I could do." The new young king ordered all the palace servants slaughtered. He ordered a grand festival to celebrate his new reign and the repeal of Leander's laws. He served the crowds a stew made from the carcasses of the palace servants. He ordered the east-facing walls of every building painted red, and the west-facing walls painted in stripes. He decreed that all citizens wear ornate masks on the backs of their heads. He then burned down the palace and began construction of a new one. In the new palace, the young king ordered his personal chambers to not have any doors, for fear that small woodland creatures would attack him. Okay. He ordered that it have no windows for fear that the sun and moon were jealous of him and plotting his death. And thus ended the line of King Leander. The people of the city returned to their grand works of art and raucous celebrations. They talked and acted as if they still had a living king, and even kept up the palace, using it to house and care for their mad children. Sheogorath was mightily pleased with this outcome. From that day forward, the city was blessed with more than the normal number of gifted artists and deranged citizens. That's a hell of a fucked story right there. I mean, that could have been its own book right there. I would have been happy. The Contest of Wills. A mighty wizard named Ravate once walked the winds of time to find Lord Sheogorath. His intent was to win a favor from this most capricious of the Daedric princes. Upon finding Sheogorath, Ravate spoke humbly to him. "Lord Sheogorath, I beg a favor of you. I would gladly drive 1,000 men mad in your name, if you would but grant me the greater magical powers." Fortunately for Ravate, Sheogorath was in a playful mood. He proposed a game. I will grant your wish if you are still sane in 3 days. During that time, I will do my utmost to drive you mad. It shall be great fun. Revate was not so certain that he liked this new deal. He had been really looking forward to driving 1,000 men mad. Lord Sheogorath, I regret having disturbed you with my shallow, selfish request. I withdraw my unfortunate plea, and will humbly leave this place. Sheogorath just laughed. Too late, mighty Revate. The game is afoot, and you must play. Revate fled, only to find that all exits from the Daedric realm were now sealed. He wandered aimlessly, constantly looking over his shoulder, jumping at every noise. Each moment brought new terror as he waited for Sheogorath to begin. After 3 days, Revate was convinced that every plant and animal was a tool of Sheogorath. He hadn't eaten or drunk for fear that Sheogorath had poisoned the food or drink. He hadn't slept for fear of Sheogorath invading his dreams, which was foolish, as dreams are of the domain of Vaermina. May she grant us restful sleep. It was then that Sheogorath appeared to him. Revate cried out, You have set the whole world to watching me. Every creature and every plant are doing your bidding to drive me mad. Sheogorath replied, Actually, I have done nothing. You have driven yourself mad with your fears. Your delusions prove that you are truly deranged, and therefore I win. While you wanted to make 1,000 men mad, I only wanted to break one man's mind, yours. Sheogorath, this is 2 books now where Sheogorath's method of making people go insane is literally just to do nothing and just let them drive themselves insane. Alright. From that day forward, Revate served Sheogorath's every whim. Whenever daring travelers try to approach Sheogorath, Revate warns them. Sheogorath is already inside each of us. You have already lost. Well now. That was the Myths of Sheogorath in the final book in all of the Elder Scrolls 4 Oblivion. Goddamn, it took a long-ass fucking time, but we done did it. And now, we will get to actually speak to the man once again on his massive-ass fucking throne thingy. What's our next quest? Actually, I'm probably going to drop off the rest of these books between videos, but I'll just end up walking back here so that doesn't look like it's the case. Anyway, Understanding Madness. I need to report to Sheogorath that Zedillion is working. Oh my god, Zedillion, that was so fucking long ago. In that Knights of Order have appeared in the Shivering Isles. God, I mean, hopefully he's figured that out by now. Hopefully somebody else would have mentioned it. Like, we've seen some of his guards fighting them in the past, I'm pretty sure. Yeah. Anyway. Yeah, that's going to do it for today. So with that, as always, thank you guys for watching. If you have stuck with us reading all these goddamn books, I mean, God bless you. Truly, God bless you. Yeah, anyway, that's going to do it for today. So thank you for watching. Again, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and I hope to see you in that next episode where we'll be continuing the main story. Finally, the final storyline that we gotta complete. Oh, it's gonna be fun. Alright, goodbye.
I don't wanna see the glow without you. Refuse to even leave my home without you. Or my brain's gonna explode without you. I don't even know how to cope without you. Cause I don't wanna see the glow without you. Refuse to even leave my home without you. Or my brain's gonna explode without you. I don't even know how to cope without you.